Good morning. Good morning, Queenie. I heard you. Just was muted. If you'd like to take this time to say hello and roll call if you would, so I can know who's here.
Good morning, Mr. Montalvo. This Kamani.
Button.
Good morning, Mr. Lewis. This is Kristen. How are you doing this fine morning?
Blessed and highly favored. Yourself?
Amazingly blessed.
Good morning, Mr. Lewis. This is Jaden.
Jaden. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Lewis. This is MJ.
MJ. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Lewis. This is Kayla.
Kayla. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Lewis. This is Keithan.
Good morning, Keithan. One moment, please. One second while I turn all this down. Is that everybody?
I'm still trying to get my little sister.
Okay. I gotta send a message. That's the programmer, so I had to answer that one. Okay, so everybody's here. Cool. All right. So again, welcome everybody. This is the Kids Corner Saturday call. Thank you for being able to make it to the call today. I appreciate all of your attendance. It means a lot. All right. So last week we talked about a few different things. There was a couple of assignments. Understanding finance, budget. We went over that kind of thing. I don't know if all of you had a chance to reply. From what I'm looking at, most of you did. And we went over the reasons for it. But there's a couple that are here today that didn't get a chance to. So what I'd like to do is just go over the initial things, and then we'll move on to today's call because today's call is a little bit different. Understanding finance. What was requested was, what is your idea of understanding finances? And it's a lot of layers to understanding finances. Once again, I have to put these disclaimers out because it was brought to my attention that I don't do it on every call. So any and all information that I give is for entertainment and educational purposes. I am not licensed to give financial advice, nor do I have the license to sell anything. So now that that's out of the way, any and everything and all things that you choose to do is basically your own decision. And it's a shame that we have to say things like that. We should be able to teach one another regardless, whether you have license or not. Not everybody that has license knows some of the things that I share, because I read. A lot of them just go by, oh, I have license, so I don't have to read. I have license that says I can do this and say this. I personally read. So with that being said, let's move on. Understanding finances is a multi-level, multi-layer thing. It's not just, do you know what money is? It has a lot to do with emotion. It has a lot to do with the actual saving of money, putting money to work for you and on your behalf so that you don't physically have to do it, work that is. Understanding finances is how you take care of your bills, how you manage your free time money, all of that. It's all really wrapped into knowing what you have. The second word was budget, which is part of understanding finances. It should have been the number one thing, budget, and then all the rest. But anyway, budgeting requires commitment, and it also requires you to look into all of your financial transactions throughout either the week, the day, or the month, and sometimes the year. If you're paying something annually, then that's part of your budget, and you have to add it in that you're going to make this payment at the end of the year. So you have to make sure, and this is why I do sub accounts. Like if I have an annual payment, it's in its own account, sitting there waiting, and it's on auto pay 3 days before it's due. That's basically how I do things. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but it also gives you the opportunity to manage where you put funds, what's being taken care of, so you don't forget. You might get into, whatever. Something may come up that throws your mindset off to remember to pay that thing or put funds towards something because you're in the mix of something and you forget all about it. Now you have a late payment. So budgeting is sitting down, and a lot of times it takes you, not other people. Don't rely on accountants. Don't rely on the bank. Do not rely on anyone but yourself when it comes to your finances. You are responsible for it, period. So how you set them up and how you use them is completely up to you. Now you can get advice, you can get instructions and things like that. You can talk about certain things with accountants, CPAs, which are people who are just in between you and an accountant and the bank. You could talk to your elders. Hopefully they are part of this class and they can help out because they heard something you didn't. But ultimately, when it comes down to budgeting, that's completely up to you. So how do you budget properly? Well, some of it you already know. You know that any and all bills that you have 3 days prior to it, you set up an auto payment, and that's done out of a bank account. And they're going to tell you, oh, well, you don't have to do that. The reason why they don't want you to do that is because you cut the interest on that overall bill when you pay it early and you pay it on time. So by taking that amount, let's say $200, and you put it into a sub account or they don't call them subs anymore, from what I'm gathering. But I want you to think of it as a sub account. Just because the bank says no, those are no longer available, whatever. There are multiple accounts under a main account, and that main account can send money to them. Those are subs all day long. Terminology doesn't matter. Process does. So basically, that $200 bill, let's say it's due at the end of the year. So you would take $200, and if you've paid this bill before, you know whatever finance fees that go along with that. Remember, always remember, anytime you pay someone or pay an entity, there's fees. That's other people getting payment because you made a payment, which I think is completely wrong. But again, I didn't make our economy. So you have to allot for those fees. And then you also have to remember whatever account that is, if it has fees per month, you have to make sure that you put enough to cover that as well. So if you know it's an annual payment, so you know that there's 12 fees that will come out of that amount at whatever that bank states. So let's say it's $3 because you don't have a certain amount in that account. That's how they get you. That's how they steal money. And I'm calling it stealing money because, number one, they're taking money away from you because you don't have what they want you to have in the bank. Remember, always remember, they want you to have a certain amount so they know what their bottom line is, so they know how much they're going to go to trade with. That's the bottom line to it. They will never tell you that, but that's what they're doing. Any bank that has a minimum amount to avoid charges is trading that money because you have to leave it there. Okay, does that make sense? They want you to leave it there so that they can use it at their discretion for whatever reason they need to use it. One moment. So with that being said, you know that you're going to get 12 payments or 12 bills for having the money in there. So the 200 now is going to change as to whatever that fee is per month. So whatever that is, there's no way to calculate it and say this is what you'll need. You have to wait and see what they charge for having an account at a balance under what they require. That number is always changing. It's always different. And it's just a little bit of math. So you would, once you get the account, you find out what their minimum amount is to avoid fees. If it's 500, then you know you got to keep 500 plus the 200 that you're going to pay the bill with. Now, if you can't or are unable to keep the 500 in an account, you know it's going to be charges against that account for whatever amount you put there. So by the time that year elapses and it's time to make the payment, if you didn't put enough payments in there, it's going to be minus, okay? And now you're half paying the bill. So like I said, budgeting requires you to do math, and you have to be aware of all charges, fees, and all that stuff. We talked about dedication to a budget, which is still in the same line of this conversation. The dedication is what I just explained. You have to know all your fees. If it's a minimum amount and you're able to put the 500 in there, then there won't be any fees. So when you, at the end of the year, you could just send the 200. You'll have 700 in the account. 200 will be deducted at the end of the year without any fees other than the actual transaction itself. So you still want to keep a little bit more. So like 250. It's not going to hurt because it's going towards the 500 balance if you don't use it all. Okay, does that make sense? It's going to continue to grow a little bit each year because you're making a payment and leaving some behind in that account, which then also keeps you from getting fees. Now, again, dedication to a budget requires you to do this math with everything you get, even if it's just a cell phone. that cell phone has a bill. Either it's monthly and taken out of your parents, or like a plan that they're paying for. You still owe something for having that phone. Find out what that is, whatever that amount is, and make sure you give it to mom and dad if you're receiving income. Always stay ahead of any bill or any obligation financially, and that's dedication. Okay, I know this sounds weird. Why do you have to be dedicated to your bills? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, I don't think it's going to be around much longer, but if it is, you want to still know how to maintain it, and that's credit. A credit score is your financial worthiness. Do you know what you're doing with money? Do you have experience paying bills? Do you have any ongoing obligation, loans? You guys would be seeing student loans first before you see any other kind of loan. So that would be a financial obligation. Now, if you should happen to get a car, and there's only maybe 3 of you that would be getting one this year, the rest of you, as you get old enough to get one, then you would get into a secondary obligation. First obligation is education. Second obligation is everything else, period. So with that, the dedication to it, you would just sit down and you would say, okay, I have school, I have books, I have labs. That's all pretty much school. Anything outside of what you're doing in school, cell phone, shopping bill, because you're going to be buying clothes and stuff, getting new stuff, you're going to have a bill with that. Insurance or whatever else, anything outside of school are obligations to you. And to be dedicated to them or put dedication to managing them would be to sit down and find out how much that payment is, what day it's due, what's the minimum payment, and do they accept debit card payments? Not everybody accepts debit card payments, so get used to that. What's going to move into is wallet accounts. Remember, we're talking about the evolution, and you are right in the actual middle of a financial evolution. And it has many names. We're talking about it on a regular basis. We're using the tools or starting to learn tools, which is a wallet and exchanges, how you purchase things. And then over here, you're going to have a crypto debit card in either Visa or MasterCard, and I suggest having both. And don't let me forget the major one, your own bank. I was having a conversation with someone in the Philippines just a little while ago, and I asked them, some of the questions of how the same things that I'm saying to you right now. And when I explained to them what I have and what I'm bringing out, it almost felt like a light went off in their head. And when I was talking about budgeting, because it's easy to be extremely poor. I don't know if you know about the Philippines, but it's a two-sided country. It's either mega rich or mega poor. And they don't mix. One stays on one side, they do all the rich stuff, and the other one stays on their side, they do all the poor stuff. They don't intermingle, which is sad, because the rich people there could easily bring the poor up a notch, but they refuse to do it. So dedication. And then the last one was consistency, which is exactly what we're talking about. Consistency means doing it the same every time. Even if you got the flu, you don't feel good, you got tummy ache, whatever, you have to do your duties. And that is making sure a payment was made, making sure the account is hydrated, which means there's enough in there to take care of that obligation, making sure that the income is still moving. Okay, it's going to come into the main account, then you're going to take and spread it to all the rest, sub accounts. That's your job, on top of going to school and staying the beautiful people that you are. So with that being said, consistency is just that, being consistent in these actions, no matter what. You don't get to say, well, I don't feel like doing it today. Because the second you do that, you throw everything else off. Okay, a plant, just like I was, when we first started talking, I talked about the pepper plant. Okay, where does it start from? A seed. Okay, it starts from a seed. And then you have to take action with the seed. The seed is not going to grow itself. So you step in, take the seed, and put it in dirt. So you made a movement for that seed. You took care of it. Once it says, oh, well, thank you for planting me and giving me water and fertilizer and stuff so I can eat. So what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to sprout a bush and give you peppers. Your payment. And each pepper that you take off of that plant, the plant says, oh, you like those? I'll give you some more. And if you keep that pepper plant hydrated with water, just like your accounts would be hydrated with the finances and resources that are going to come your way, it's the same thing. You keep that plant hydrated, you take the peppers off of it, it's going to give you new peppers. That's what a pepper plant does. That's why they're awesome. You only have to plant it once for the entire year, and it will give you peppers all year long if you treat it right. And that's the same thing. You can't go, oh, I don't feel like watering it today. And it might need water to produce the next set of peppers. And you say, I'll get it later. The pepper plant's like, oh, they come every day. I'll get my water and then I'll be able to make some more peppers. They're coming. They're going to come. The pepper plant says, well, it's getting dark. They didn't come today. I won't produce any peppers. And the next thing you know, the plant dies because it loses interest in serving you. Your accounts and your finances do the same thing. If you turn your back on it and don't hydrate an account, then that account will start to fail. When that account fails, then the obligation fails. 2 failures make a 0. You ever heard the saying, 2 wrongs don't make a right? So if both the account, your consistency, and the obligation are all negative, then what is the actual outcome of that obligation? Negative. That's pulling down on you. So everything works together. Okay, so that's enough on that. I wanted to cover that for those who weren't here last week. So moving forward, and today I wanted to cover something a little bit different. And it's time.
Sorry to interrupt. Hello, I'm here. I was just letting you know. I was letting you go through this topic to interrupt, so I'm here now.
Okay, great. Welcome. Let me put you on. So today, the topic is going to be something different. So buckle your seat belts. I got a lot to say, as usual. The other night, there was a conversation between 2 people that are trying to run this country. I have to talk about this because those 2 individuals will impact everything that we're talking about. Literally, everything. One wants one thing, the other wants something else. That debate showed America and the entire world who is driving the car. Some of us already knew the condition of the driver, but it was put out, he was put out in front of the entire world. What you saw is the precursor of a situation that we are, unfortunately, the inhabitants of. What that means is when they put him out on the stage and let him show his cognitive ability, and I can't use names when I'm recording. If you don't know who I'm talking about, you will figure it out sooner or later. With that display of negative cognitive ability, he is now going to be thrown under the bus, per se. They're going to bring someone else in to ride the last part of the journey that we have been put on with this individual. Our resources over the past 4 years have been played with by this individual and the people that are controlling him, because he literally has no idea where he's at. And it's sad because a lot of people know it. It is extremely apparent, but this individual is making decisions for you and I. Now, it's not him. So he's only the person in front. It's the people behind him and the companies and the organizations and other individuals that are telling him what to say and do that are in control. The sad part is the rest of the country is sitting like this. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And it's unfortunate because when you sit with your arms crossed and say, I don't care, that's exactly what you do. There is a divide in this country right now and has been for quite a while, longer than any of us on this call have been here. It was long before us, but it's going to stop with us. And what I'm talking about is separation. And I'm not talking black and white. I'm talking about knowledge of resources. Resources are, or were this. They're going to be in multiple different levels and platforms coming in the very, very, very near future. I'm talking, if I'm not mistaken, within a week. I know I've been talking this a lot and I keep picking at it, but after, you have to watch what's going on. You have to take action and be prepared for what is coming. And what's coming? Digital, period. Either they control the digital or we do. Again, the divide. So the more you know about your digital journey going forward, wallets, cell phones, cards, and banks, the more you know how to use them, the more protected you will be. So it's important to, number one, look at the resources. So if you would, write down resources. When I say look at resources, I'm talking about how are most people being paid? Direct deposit. Some checks. Some companies still give checks, but most people are direct deposit. and they would get a piece of paper, an envelope with what was made for that week and how many taxes were taken out, all that stuff. It's just a piece of paper for your records. But the actual resource itself went into an account digitally the night before. Now, when it got there, when they transmitted it to that bank, at that very moment, and it's actually 30 minutes in between the time it actually was there versus when you can see it. Sometimes it's all the way to the next day. They might put it in Thursday afternoon, like at 3:30. When you punch out for the end of the week, they can actually transmit those funds. Boom, just like you got paid, your payday. But you don't see it till the next day. So that the bank has a full 24 hours to trade it. They have a full 24 hours to do whatever they want to do with it without your knowledge. So understanding and knowing your resources is the first part. Where's your money coming from? Where's it going? And how often? And when do you see it? 4 things with just your resources, your finances, when they're given to you. As a participant of a promise delivered, it's instant. The second you withdraw it, the second you see it. There's no playing around. Team Royal, it takes a couple of days. 2 to make a withdrawal. But again, remember, it's digital. It should take seconds, but they take 2 days. Why do they take 2 days? They have a full 48 hours to trade the money before you get to see it. It was there the second you push the button. Boop. It's digital. Think of it like an email. When you send an email, you write the email and you click send, right? And if you're talking to the person that you're sending an email to, and they say, oh, I got it. Within seconds, it's there. Same thing goes with your resource. But they tell you, oh, it's going to take 2 days for it to get from your digital transmission to our digital receiver. Really? You have to think. You have to be aware and you have to understand how they do things. Digital is instant, not days. Even when you're buying crypto, it only takes about maybe 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes, that's it, not days. Do something with a bank as far as a transaction and see how long it takes. When you pay your first bill, you're going to push the button and the money comes out of your account just like that. Boop, almost instantly, almost, when you're paying someone. Ask for that money back and see how long it takes. 5 to 7 business days. When I first heard that, I had a problem, and that was quite a few years ago. I won't give too much. But I'm older than you, so I heard that a long time ago, a long time. And I had a problem that very second when they said it. Oh, it's going to take 3 to 5 days. I said, but wait a minute, I just paid it, and it came out instantly. Well, the company's policy to do a refund is 5 to 7 business days. So don't count Saturday, don't count Sunday. So it could actually be more days. And they trade every day. Every day. 24 hours a day. They only tell you that the trade thing is open at a certain time so that you can participate, but I assure you it doesn't close for them. Why do you think they have trillions and billions of dollars? Trading other people's money when you don't know when they're doing it. Okay, next one. Next one is going to be my tools. Your tools are what we've already covered. Wallet, and digital debit cards, hard plastic crypto debit cards, and banks that you own. These are your tools. You have to know them. Not kinda, I read it. Oh, I know people that have it. No. No. You have to know these tools. Like you know your bicycle, like you know, I don't know what pajamas you're gonna wear tonight. You have to know. It should already be in your knowledge base how to use these tools. Because these tools are how you're going to eat, live, and maintain your finances. Notice I said your finances. I didn't say the bank. You haven't heard me say anything but a personal bank because I don't talk about the other banks. I personally have had enough of that foolishness. So my objective is to make sure that you have the resources set, which is a promise delivered, the tools, the things that we're talking about now, and the knowledge base. When I write these things down, so you got 3 of them: resources, my tools, and knowledge base. Knowledge base is up to you. We have shared a ton of information, and there's a ton more to go. Like I said, I hope to maintain this call for as long as I can do it. And then hopefully one of you will take over for the younger generation. Your knowledge base comes from, are you going to read it? Or are you just going to say, I know how it works? It's like with a cell phone. When you get a cell phone, it comes with a manual. That's the instruction on how this thing works. If I were to take a poll for everyone.
Mr. Lewis, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what was the last thing that you said? My resources, my tools, and what?
Knowledge base.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So if I were to take a poll of everyone who's on the call, there's 26 or 20 people on the call. And I would put out a question. When you got your cell phone, did you read the manual on how it works? I could almost guarantee you it would be a 0 answer. And I don't mean skim over it. I mean, did you read it from front to back? All the features, all the things that it does, how to maintain it, what this, that, and the other. Most people get a cell phone, they get the number put on it, they'll put on their email address, they'll put on certain things that they like, apps and what have you, and that's it. And then the rest is, where do I find when it actually came with a book that explains everything that you would want to know? Just like with the treasure. The treasure comes with a booklet. The booklet is the instructions on how this thing works. Okay? You have to read it. The more you read, the more you know. And that is knowledge base. And that goes for everything. Even when you're, getting ready to start driving. There's a manual that explains how driving works. A lot of people did not read that because I drive for a living and I look at the habits of the way people drive. They didn't read that manual. And I'm sure you've seen them. You see the end results on the side of the road. 2 cars all mangled up because either one of these people that have a mashed up car on the side of the road, 9 times out of 10 did not read the manual on how to drive. They may have license, but did they actually learn how to drive? What is the actual process of it? Everything has a process, even living. But that one doesn't have a manual. That comes from the creator. The next word and the final one is a repeat. And that repeat is dedication. You're going to find that the things that I'm going to go over with you is always going to be about dedication. Because now that you know about finances, now that you know about some of the tools, now that you know that you will become a banker, that's almost like when you know, in school, the teacher asks, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then all the kids say, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a policeman. These are things that they see. Things that you've seen. Profession. MJ wants to be a basketball player. Why? Because he's seen guys playing basketball and they make a lot of money. So that inspired him to want to pursue that. This class is going to open all of your eyes. So we don't look in one direction and let that one direction control who we are. I want you to look at the entire arena of life. I went over something about me. I'm going to share this real quick just so you can understand what I mean when I say open your eyes. When I was in school, 6th grade, I got that question. Well, when you grow up, what do you want to be? And at 6, I seen a lot because my parents were into, you may or may not know what this is. It's called square dancing. It is a country line dance type thing. And my mother loved it because it was real pretty dresses and stuff like that. She was into that kind of thing. She was into a lot of things, and that's where I get it from. But they were into square dancing, and when you're in a club like that, there's competition, there's tournaments, and you go to different states to do your dance. Who's the best at it? Well, she grabbed me and my brother and carried us along. So I got to see hundreds, when I tell you hundreds of different professions at a little guy. I got to see chefs. I got to see people who work with radio equipment because it's a DJ that does it. I got to see people working on the road because on the trip you see the most little boys like the Tonka truck, the heavy equipment. That's why I touch them now. That's why I work with them now, because I saw them at a very early age. So over the course of my life and the people that influenced it, I said to myself, let me actually look at how many things I'm capable of doing proficiently, which means how many jobs can I really do? And after careful remembering or memory and putting it on paper, I shocked myself. I currently, because I learn every day, this is why we do this call, so you learn every day. Currently, I have 17 different professions that I could do proficiently and be paid for it. 17. So I can go in 17 different directions anywhere in the state of anywhere in this country and perform these duties and earn an income. Most people have maybe 4 or 5 jobs. I have 17 that I can do for employment. I have another 12 that I can do because I know how to do it. Almost hit 30 total different jobs, different things that I'm capable of doing with these hands and this mind. So I didn't look in one direction. I almost did. I almost did look in one direction. I'm just going to do that. But like I told someone just the other day, I'm different. And I'm sure you know that I'm not your average person. And I'm proud of that. A lot of people won't understand when you have multiple means of income, when you have multiple means of talents, because you actually took the time to go down that street, go down this street, go down this street, and so on and so forth. So now you become a valuable asset because you know so much. But don't ever take it and say, well, I know this, so I'm better than you because I can do more things than you. That's not it. It's called internal growth. Internal growth opens you up to the Creator, number one, because He wants you to be fruitful. He wants you to learn. That's why there's information made available to you. He gave you the ability to think, reason, evaluate. So those 4 things: resources, my tools, which those tools are going to get bigger. These are just the first 4 or 5 tools. As you grow, you're going to add your own tools to that toolbox. Knowledge base. How much do you know? And how much do you care to know about the things you do or will be involved with? Because if you don't care, no one else will. I will, and hope to change that mindset. But if you don't care, no one else will. Dedication is everything. It's an actual attribute that people will gravitate towards, like you have with me. Most people need to be compensated for them to be dedicated. That's foolishness. If you have something to share, or if you have something that you want to teach, or basically just make sure someone else knows, just do it. Share it. If they like what you're doing, they'll return. Just look at you. How many other things could you have been doing for 47 minutes ago versus being here? And it's not just young people. There's adults here too. That's called dedication. You come to get information. You come to get opened up so that you can see the directions that may have been hidden to you because lack of communication. Let me add that one too. One more, communication. And I think one Saturday I'm going to go with that topic right there because that's a very deep topic. That is a very wide ranged topic. It is part of everything you are. It is part of everything you will become. And if you notice, I'm picking on you now so that you start to use that skill. What did I say? This is a participation class, so that means I want to hear from you. When I hear from you, you are communicating with me. It is a skill set. Why do you think you're here? Because I communicate. But communication is different than communicate. Communication is the ability to communicate with someone with a specific idea, an understanding, or request for information. If you don't ask, you won't get. There's a couple statements or little stuff that you'll hear as you grow up. A closed mouth won't eat. A clenched hand cannot receive. And a clenched hand is someone who wants to fight. You will receive nothing but punishment. An open hand has many different understandings. You're ready to receive. You're ready to help. Lend a helping hand. That hand is open. If your hand is open, you can receive and you can give. But if you're like this, a clenched hand shall not receive. Communication is everything. It's how you're going to grow. It's how you're going to let people know that you do have a mind and it's very sharp, which you already have. I'm listening to you guys all the way down to MJ. That says a lot. It's almost a pleasure being on this call with you guys because you're already sharp. Already. So communication, like I said, goes in many levels, in many facets of your life. It's going to help you grow as a person that is not a pushover because you are ready and willing to communicate about a situation. You will not be taken advantage of, period, by anyone, ever. Because you're going to communicate. You're going to ask questions. What exactly does that mean? Should be your favorite phrase. Would you care to explain that in detail so I understand? See, you can tell somebody something deep and not insult them. Learning how to communicate, how you say things, certain phrases. They'll tell you everything and don't even know that they just got, exposed. Now, people will lie, so let's not get that confused. If they're just as sharp as you in the negative as you are in the positive, they will stay right up there with you. But it's all in what you do here. Any and all information, take it in, and then you do your understanding of it. That's why you should always ask, would you care to explain that in detail so that I can understand it? Let them feel like they're teaching you something. But all you want to know is, what exactly are you asking? What's the motive? Are you trying to take advantage? If so, let me think about it. Never make a quick, yes, I'll do that. Don't ever do that. Always, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. If they're up to something, they're going to press. If they're not, they'll say, oh, okay, no problem. Just let me know when you're ready. Because they're going to give you time to evaluate. That's communication. But if you go in there or go wherever it is, and they say, well, I want you to do this, 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 and this, and then I want you to hear that, that. Okay, but what's the this, this, and this? But you already said okay to it. So when you get to the this, and they say, well, that's part of what I told you. Well, I don't remember that. You didn't ask. Guess what? It's your fault. So now you have to do this, whatever it is. Mopping the floor. Not that that's a bad thing. I did it for 4 years in the military. So there's no degrading in duties as long as you know beforehand that that's part of the process. Communication. All right, we are I'm going to try to keep these right at an hour because I ran over a couple times. Any questions?
Mr. Lewis, I have a question.
Mhm.
Not one of the youngins, but I have a question. So what do you think about, I'm going back to what you were talking about with the banks and what they do with trading and requiring a minimum and all that good stuff. What do you think about I know. I just want your thought process on what you think about, and I know the answer, but I want to see when
Yeah.
people, come back you with, oh, but my credit union don't have a minimum and it's free. What do you think about those guys? Because I know
Well,
they're nasty too, but what do you think?
yeah, that's part of the communication when you go to open that account. And the actual, like, I think I even did this one too. When most people go get a bank account,
Mhm.
they sit down to the desk, they get in their pocket and they get the license and the $50 deposit to open the account. The person type, they type this up, take that, get this, let me go deposit. You're sitting there. Did you read the account requirements
Right.
when you open that account? You didn't get time.
Mhm.
You could have easily said, well, let me read this, or can you explain the actual account features to me? I can't see, or whatever excuse you want to give, communicate. But
Right.
9 times out of 10, everybody just grabs up that booklet, gets
Yeah.
their new account, and out the door.
I'm guilty.
I am too. I'm
Yeah.
not pointing fingers, because when you point finger, 3 are pointing back.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, if the features and if there's no minimum amount or balance required, then the fees you have to ask. Well, if there's no minimum amount, are there fees? That's just a simple question. And they either going to say, well, yeah, we have a whatever. It could be every 2 weeks or quarterly or whatever. We do a assessment of accounts and whatever, and we do take. They're going to take something. Ain't nothing free, especially banks. None of it. They're going to take it somewhere. If they don't take it in the fees monthly, they're going to take it in transaction fees or something. Trust me, they're going to get it. But if it is a bank or credit union that doesn't have a monthly obligated fee, then that would be a better one to work with. Most of
Okay.
your big boys have a minimum balance, and if
Yeah.
not, if that minimum balance isn't there, they take $12, $10. I think Wells Fargo is $11
Mhm. Mhm.
because I
Okay.
don't have $2,500 to sit there.
So you would go on record and say, if you have to work with a bank, the credit union is the better one.
Yes,
Okay.
but again,
Mhm.
when you go through the door, ask the question.
Yeah.
But like I said, here in the next, and I'm just saying this because of what happened Thursday, you will more than likely see the quantum financial system released sometime this month. When that happens, it's either going to go one or two ways. It's either going to go the way we see it happening, which is a reevaluation of all money across the entire globe, not just certain countries. Everybody's money gets reevaluated. Second, you're going to have a card, okay, that is attached to the quantum financial system, and the only person that can go into that account is you. That's one of two ways. The second way is a CBDC, and that's a central bank digital currency. You don't want to see that, because with that one, they have full control of your finances. Full control. They can tell you when you can spend money. They can tell you how much you can spend, all of that. That's a CBDC. No one wants that. They've already pretty much thumbed it down. But it really depends on who they put in there. Like I said, after Thursday, now everybody knows the cognitive ability of that man. He has to be removed. Who are they putting in there? What is their agenda? Will they continue with the people that were running this individual will they continue that process? If so, we're in trouble. Plain and simple.
Well, we're still children of the Most High, so I'm not concerned about them at all. For me, personally.
I agree. I agree. I'm pretty sure that you know, even if that is the process, you got November coming, and you know the other one's going to win anyway, hands down.
Either way, God's children is protected. Either way.
Yeah, either way, yes.
Yeah.
But good question. Anyone else?
Mr. Lewis, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
For the driver's manual, when reading that, does that prevent you from getting into car accidents?
It's real hard to get what you're saying. It's like muffled. Can you?
Oh, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So when reading the driver's manual, does reading that prevent you from getting into car accidents?
Yes, ma'am. Let me explain. So reading the driver's manual does two things. Number one, it's going to teach you road etiquettes. Road etiquettes is using your turn signal, using the proper speed, using your mirrors. There's 3 of them. Using your neck and turning your head. I've seen people get on the freeway. Now, usually I'm in the right lane because of heavy equipment. And when someone gets on the on-ramp, that means you are entering traffic. This is the #1 reason for 90% of the freeway accidents. When you enter the freeway, the police will tell you, and this is what they told us, that's the only time you get to speed. Here's why. The traffic that is already on the freeway is rolling at a specific speed, let's say 65. When you're entering into that freeway, you have to make some mental decisions in that short period of time. You know you're going to get onto the freeway. You should know what the speed limit is on that freeway, unless you're in a different state. Most of the time it's 55 plus. So let's say it's 65. So you're on a ramp. This is what you should know prior to getting on the freeway. You're either going to make a decision to advance what is in that lane or back off and fall in behind what is in that lane. How do you know what's in that lane? You have to turn your head and look and see who's there. Is there a truck there? Is there another car there? Do they look like they're going fast? You have to make this decision in a very short distance of road. It's all calculated. When you do it right, here's what happens. Get on the ramp, first thing you look, what kind of space do I have? Is the truck back a little bit? Then I have time to get down and go. That's when the cop says you get the speed. You literally get a chance to speed for free without being ticketed. So that means you could jump up to 70, 65, 68, whatever, just so long as you're in front of that traffic in that lane, not the rest of the freeway, the lane that you're coming into. Or that truck is right there, that car is right there alongside, you go on the same speed, so you know you can't get in front of them before you get onto the freeway. What's your next thing? Back off. Not stop, back off. That means drop your speed so that person can go head on, then you catch back up and get behind. That's how you get on the freeway. Here's what people are doing now. Truck in the lane. Person in the on-ramp. They're looking forward. I'm going to come on at 45 because that's what the speed is for the street I was just on. I'm, getting on the freeway. I'm looking forward. No signal. I'm just going to get on the freeway. Next thing you know, somebody runs in the back of it. Why? Because you never looked to see what was there. You're at a very slow speed. They are already running 65 plus. No one does the speed limit, so that's why I always say plus. So in that short distance, you have to make all these decisions. The better prepared you are to make these major decisions and come into the flow of traffic, the better driver you become. You have to know these things. Okay? So that manual teaches all of that. It teaches how to signal, it teaches how to merge in traffic, it teaches what to do when you see flashing lights, this light, emergency equipment. You're supposed to pull over and slow down. I've seen people just ride right on. Cop come by, they still sitting in the same lane, never moved over, never slowed down. Everybody's distracted with these things. This is your number one accident creator, this thing right here. My suggestion, when you first start driving, put the phone in the back seat. Not up front, nowhere within reach of you. Put it in the back seat. That'll stop you from making that mistake of picking it up and looking at it. When you're looking at it, something's going on up here or behind you on the lefty, right? You don't see it. And when you finally look back to the road, the car's right there. Bang! The manual explains all of that, especially now because they've changed it because of these. It's illegal here to even have this in your hand. It could be just sitting in my hand. I might be holding it. If a cop sees it, he's pulling me over, and it's a ticket, $160, just for having it in your hand. So etiquettes, driving etiquettes, all that's in that manual. And it will teach you how to be a aware driver. Your parents are going to teach you, this is what you do, how you do. When you go to driver's ed, they're going to go over this information. When you go to get your license, you got to take the test. You're going to see this stuff again. The more you study, knowledge base, see how that worked in there? The more knowledge base you have on things that are coming your way, the better off you're prepared.
Sir, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Are you gonna do a driving class?
That would be difficult, but I can go over the manuals and stuff if you like. Absolutely. You know me.
I got two driving manuals.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that. That'd be no problem. We'll set that up. Anybody else agree for driving tutorage? I guess it's just you and me.
I'm cool with that.
I'll second that. I'll second that.
Just picking. It's all good. So we'll set that up and we'll get one going, and I'll go over everything that I know. And like I said, I have license to drive everything except for an airplane, literally. And I can drive pretty much everything except for an airplane. The only license I don't have yet is captain license, and I'm going to get them this year. For my fishing boat. Any other question? Going once? Twice?
Montavo,
Yes, ma'am.
great call. Will you have your call at 12 o'clock today?
Yes, ma'am.
The last one I got from you said the 22nd. Can I still use that one? It said June the 20th. Huh?
Yes.
It said June the 22nd.
Right. That's it's the numbers are still the same.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we're going to go start that now. All right. So you have your words, resources, my tools, knowledge base, dedication, and communication. I would like to hear from everybody next week what you feel these words mean. I don't want book definition. I want your definition. If you don't have the experience to know what these words are, then of course, look them up. But most of you, except for a few, maybe two, maybe one, maybe none, because you've been on the calls, you know what these words are. I just need to know what you feel they are. Okay? So next week, awesome. You can open up.
Hold on. I have a question. I know we're about to leave, but do you think the school systems, they projected where you can't express yourself, your words, when it comes to pen and paper, they don't teach that and help apply it to real day life situations?
Well, interesting question. And I know I'm probably going to upset a few people because, like I said, this is on YouTube. The education system is a complete failure.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a known thing. So what I see, now this is just my personal opinion, what I see is that once we go into the new system, which is quantum, which is the republic, because your rule system is going to change. Okay, we're not just going to change the money. You're going to change the rules too. Okay, because you're going to go to common law. And that would be that's a call in itself. Common law and statute law are two different things. So what you're under now is statute law. And it's funny that it's called statute law because it's just like, that really bad thing, statutory rape. Statutory means an adult taking advantage of those who are not. Okay? So statute law is British law, which is not even our country. We're America. We're supposed to be under common law, law of the land, not statute. So when this whole switch happens, it's not just money. The rules are going to change, which then, and I'm going to come full circle to your question, just like someone on this call opted to teach their children themselves. Okay? And with that, there's a different type of education. It's called true education. The difference between corporate education and true education is right in your question. You have certain inalienable rights. Okay? They are not taught in school, corporate school. You know nothing about your rights because they did not teach any of them. I didn't get it. I know you're not getting it. When you're ignorant to what rules you do have, then you can be used and abused. Statutory. Okay? So when this whole flip thing happens, you're going to go into common law, which means you go back into education, true education. You will be taught by your family. You will be taught by elders like myself, someone who has a knowledge base on this. I would be able to teach you and not have to have license. See, this whole licensed teacher is that they're going to follow a specific curriculum that they say that you're supposed to know. Like the stuff, like you just said, they don't want you to express. They don't want you to use your God-given rights, freedom of speech, freedom of all of those, all of your rights. And I'm just as guilty because I went through public school. I don't know all of my rights. I'm studying them. But each one of them has subcategories that are extremely long, but you have to know them. That's how you stand on your square, which I'll teach later. Won't have to, because we're going to common law anyway, when all of this certificate stuff will go away, because it's not part of common law. How do you think your grandmother taught your mother how to bake, how to sew, your grandfather taught your father how to till dirt, plant plants? They taught from what they knew. They didn't have to have any certificates or license. And some of the best watermelon that I have ever eaten come from people that have never gone to school. But their grandfather taught their father that taught them how to plant watermelon. So just hang in there. Everything's going to change. And you will have all the rights that you're supposed to have and more. There's a whole lot more that you don't even know about.
Mr. Lewis, I want to add my little 2 cents for the day. So just piggybacking on what you're saying there, it's all a part of the rat race system. That's why you have to get their degree to teach the information. They want you to get the knowledge from them, because the knowledge is foolishness anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This is why you probably don't need a license. And I agree with the young man that asked you about the driving class. And I'm assuming my daughters, they're faithful to their dad, who believes he's the only person that can drive. That's why they didn't say anything to you. But is that a man thing that only men could drive? Like,
No. Because there's 2 females that drive dump truck with me. I've seen them out there in the semis. I've seen them operating equipment. So there is no, quote, specific person to drive. We all do it.
yeah,
We just all do it at different levels because of our knowledge base.
that's good. Well, I think you should teach. You don't need a license. You do a good
I
job.
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
And the adults for that matter. Too.
I appreciate it.
Mr.
All right.
Lewis.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
I'm sorry. Well, I apologize. I apologize.
Okay.
I want to piggyback off of what you said about the education system being a failure. So do you think that it is just from elementary to high school, or do you include universities in that as well? Because
ma'am.
I mean, I attend a university. So I'm with that question in mind, I'm trying to think about it. Should I pursue a different type of study elsewhere besides, wasting thousands of dollars on tuition? Or should I just stick it out and only go there to learn what I need to learn instead of filling my head with other unnecessary stuff?
Well, that is an awesome.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
can I partially answer this question for you because I relate?
Go right ahead.
Also, as a college student, I'm gonna be doing my junior year, and I think the system, yes, it's very skewed wrongly, especially financial wise. It's very expensive just to learn. However, in the US, that is basically your value as an employee, like at work. They value degrees and titles that are attached to your name. So it's very important. So yeah, I think continuing college is a good idea.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for stepping forward to communicate. See how this works, y'all? You see what I'm saying? So let me answer your question for both of you and those who are coming, Kayla, everybody, all the way down to MJ. Number one, I do not, nor will I ever say not get educated, because that's what I'm doing now, helping to fulfill some of the blanks that you received over the 12 years that you couple have gone, and the rest will go. The part about education is in these words that you are going to look up. Watch how this comes full circle. Knowledge base. Remember me saying your knowledge base is your responsibility. That's number one. Where you get the knowledge is still your responsibility. Now, this is a sticky conversation, and I don't want to step on anybody's feet at this point, but I have to say what I feel. Knowledge base, dedication, and communication. Those three things are in the words that you're going to look up. Now, you take those three words and put them into education. Let's go with the first one, knowledge base. From first grade, kindergarten really, all the way up to 12th grade. That is preparation for going to work. What did you learn? Math, English. I can't even use the word history because it's not even real. But I'll say it because that's what they taught. History, I'll put it like this, flawed history, because you truly do not even know your real history. Science, and they played with that. When I went through school, I got to learn how to do probably 11 of the things that I do now. Baking is science, chemistry. Growing things, science. You have to know what things need. Fertilization, how to fertilize, those are chemicals, some of them. Some of them are byproducts of human, or not human, of mammal manure, basically. But these are things that were taught when I was in school. Right now, they're teaching things that are similar, but altered with addition, things that have been added to what you need to know. So knowledge base means this. You got what you got for 12 years, and the rest of you are going to get what you're going to get in those 12 years. If you exceed that information and put it into your knowledge, when you go to college, when you go over to college, because that's the first set, the second set of education is college. That's where you're taking a direction. Remember me talking about me and MJ? MJ likes basketball. He's looking at basketball right now. But hopefully he's also looking at this, because when he first said it, that he wanted to go into basketball, I said, look at the entire industry of basketball. So not just a player, you look at therapy, that's a medical direction. You look at advertisement, that's advertisement, marketing direction in basketball now. You go a little further, the next item, a little further. So his eyes should be wide open to basketball, not just playing, because that's tunnel vision. College, in your knowledge base, should be wide open now. Not just what you're going to school for, what's the thing they call it? Help me out. What you're going for.
Your major?
Your major, thank you. You don't want to tunnel vision your major. If you have a major or something that you like, open up the view to it, to all possibilities in that major. So now you have multiple directions you can go. You're open. That requires you to do it. That's the dedication part. So not just the major, the entire major. So you may have to take a class somewhere else. You may have to go to the extension center, which is in the county. If you want to grow stuff, you want to know how to grow stuff. That's not in the college, that's extracurriculum to broaden your mind, to open up your view in a certain group. I'm not saying that you have to go learn how to grow things. I'm saying look at different pieces within the college piece. That's the dedication of going to school. That's why you don't have time for the foolishness. If you're going to go into school, then you should, my suggestion, just envelop yourself in the school for the 4 years that you're there. The first year is your major, whatever, what you're going into, then get little stuff in between to open up. Communication. The communication is this. If you have a desire to do and go to college, continue that endeavor. I would never say not do it. Why would I say that? Because if you don't educate yourself, then you become what? Ignorant. When you're ignorant, you have to do what? One job for 60 years. One job for 60 years. And they control everything you do, how much money you make, whether or not you can go on vacation, whether or not you can have a day off. They control it all. When you open up your vision in a field that has many different options, when you open up, then you are in control. You can communicate to all these other parts of a direction and decide on yourself, because you have the knowledge base to say, you know what, that degree is good, but that degree also has this over here that they didn't teach when I was in college, that I took the class and learned how this part helps that part. And if I have this knowledge base, when I go over here to work, I can tell them I'm also fluent, or I have a degree or experience as this that complements this. And now instead of being $60 an hour, you're probably looking at 130, because you took the time to communicate with this outside piece that wasn't in college. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes. So, and like a certain extent, to a certain degree, do you believe that the education system in a way promotes ignorance?
Yes. It promotes a slave. I'm just being honest. I don't want you to think that you're wasting money or time, because all education is good education as long as you communicate. As long as you take full responsibility of your knowledge base. So while you're at college learning, you're learning other things being at college too, by the way. On top of spending a lot of money, but that's okay. You'll have it. But going to college gives you the ability to be exposed to many things. And with the right dedication and communication, you can take all of these little things and put them into the big thing. Or depending on what happens, I would say in the next 2 to 5 years, maybe 2 years. I won't even go 5 years. I'll say 1 to 2 years. You're going to see a huge difference in everything that we do. And I would say, if you're familiar with The Matrix, there's a specific part in that movie that explains what I'm saying to you. And that part is when they took that probe and plugged it into the back of Neo's head, and they attached him to the computer and downloaded. Hear me when I say downloaded a specific skill in 60 seconds. So if you could get a major skill in 60 seconds, we're talking 1 minute from a download from some type of AI assisted knowledge. Let's say that you go get if you ever had an EKG, they put the things on your chest and all around your stomach or whatever they're listening to. They go all around the heart. And it reads certain sounds, bumps, and all that, right? So those are little metal buttons that transmit. I'm sure you have seen documentaries with a helmet where they put it on people who have been into a really bad car accident. A helmet goes on the head that these electrodes are right next to the brain. Technology is always evolving. Remember this word, and I'm gonna close it right here. Tesla. 6,000 different technology platforms are going to be released to us. 6,000. High-end technology. That means Neo. Put on a helmet, learn sculpting in 60 seconds. Learn welding in 60 seconds. Learn psychology in 60 seconds. So what use will you have to go to a college? What use will you have for that? None. So I would say maintain what you're doing right now. Push as hard as you can to get as much information outside of that tunnel that you're in, because you are in a tunnel. Once you've made a major decision, the word is in itself. A major is what you've decided to go into. Once you make your decision of what that major is, open it up. Look at all the things that are connected to it and study those. It makes you stronger in that major decision. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Oh, and thank you, Keith Ann, for kind of answering my question.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, I got to jump over to the adult crypto. Thank you all so much. You have 5 words: resources, my tools, knowledge base, dedication, communication. I need your response on that next week if you don't mind. And with that being said, you can open up and say good afternoon. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lewis. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Matabo.
Absolutely.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, Tabo.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Absolutely. You as well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lewis. Thank you for answering my question.
Yes, sir.
The
Good
system
afternoon,
also
Ms. Lewis. Thank you for
Thank you.
educating us once again.
You're
Have a
awesome.
blessed day, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you. You too. All right. I'm going to switch over to the adult crypto.